Hey, let's talk about. So we got one more here. Okay, here we go. Quad core CPUs for gaming. Just using a quad core nowadays. Can you game?
No threading, right?
No threading, just a
Okay.
4 core. I have the notes in here just talking about the concept of how much of a difference hyper-threading makes and everything. But yeah, just the concept of quad cores. I'm thinking like, let's see, what's a new quad core? Probably
So-
like the 3200G.
I would say so here's two comparisons I think of: 3400G versus 3200G.
Yep.
i3 9100 versus i3 10100.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say in most games, like if you're playing like Valorant, CS:GO, Rocket League, Fortnite, there is some situations where it's not great, but most of the time with those games, you're fine. Like, for example, we build these i5 builds with 2400s. They're just quad cores. They're older. But in games like that, they're perfectly fine with a modern GPU.
And they can actually even play,
Yeah.
we have benchmarks on the website of them playing the new Call of Duty even. It's not
So, yeah.
great, but they do it.
Super easy to use those. But when you're stretching into games like the perfect example is Call of Duty with Warzone and Cold War. It started with Warzone. Warzone, it's really, really hard. Like, it's not even an issue where
go hard.
it's just super bottlenecked by the CPU. You can lower the settings all the way or max them out to get more of a GPU bottleneck, and you're still going to get stutters because that CPU is going to be maxed out 100%. But if, like Jackson mentioned, compare using an i3 9100F versus the 10100 or the 10100F, just for sake of comparison, that CPU will give you, I would say, probably 10, 15 plus FPS and also limit the stuttering. There won't be that stuttering that constantly happens with a quad core when you're bottlenecked. So those would be the main things I would keep in mind. You can, again, it's not like they're obsolete or anything. Quad-core CPUs do exist for a reason. I would think the next generation of CPUs would all be 4-core 8-thread. I would hope, like AMD's new Ryzen 3 should be a 4-core 8-thread.
Unless they come out with the Athlons.
Yeah,
They could
Athlons
come
would be
out
cool
with
as
the
quad cores. Like the low end of the low end, the 2-core 4-thread should be quad cores now. And it doesn't mean they're not great for everyday work PCs. I mean, you can get stuff done with a quad-core CPU.
Even the dual core 4 threads are actually like, I saw someone's comment the other day. I think it was Kopoppy or something. He said that he's using a 200 GE.
Nice.
And he said that he plays like all the games he wants. I think it's with a 1050 Ti on medium settings to 1080p.
Yeah, so it depends on your expectations and what games you're actually playing. But if I were building a new PC, anything over like a used market build of like $300 to $500, I would definitely lean towards a 4-core 8-thread over anything as the minimum. Used market builds, if you're doing something that's like super cheap, like $200-300, quad cores are fine.
You're not even going to be able to.
Yeah, you're really not
unless
gonna
you
be
go
able,
with like some weird old Xeon build. But at that rate, you're talking about like risking reliability and stuff versus just having some more cores that might not even be stronger.
Yeah, and those Xeon cores are normally older, and sometimes the newer quad cores will be better, and that kind of relates to the whole thing when we were trying to do that whole 3080 bottleneck thing. That was kind of our mindset, as people were going to go with the older Xeons, and we were just hopefully going to get away with the newer architecture quad core, but it still was not great.
Man,
All the
was
way around, it
crazy.
wasn't
The
great.
10100 was out when we
Yeah.
did that video.
Yeah.
So we did a 9100, right? A 9100.
Yep.
That I'm not even kidding. I'd almost be curious to redo it, like a test scenario.
Yeah.
I think the 10100 would have actually.
Been all right.
It wouldn't have. It sort of been bottlenecked, but it wouldn't have been nearly as bad as that 9100.
Well, another example is we were just doing the used market build, the one that has the i3. It was an 8th gen i3, or is it that one
was
with
6th
a
gen.
6th gen? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's even older, but like a 6th gen i3, which is a 2-core 4-thread.
Yeah.
With a 1070 Ti. That build's kind of funny. It's more of like a vlog style video. Don't take it too seriously.
It'll be a pretty fun video.
But it's a fun video. Zach's working on the thumbnail for it right now. But yeah, that's bottleneck city right there. Like, there's some games that wouldn't even work properly. Cold War would not work properly. And it just depends. I remember back when we were testing those Core 2 quads, and I remember we were using those, and we figured those were dead when Apex wouldn't launch it. It was just like, nope, it's too old. You can't launch Apex. So, yeah, I would say, long story short, stay away from quad cores unless you're doing a really cheap PC, especially with the price of the 4-core 8-threaded, like 3100s, 10100s, all of those. They're way better options to get started with.
Yep, assuming you can get them right now.
Yes, that is
Once
the
stuff
number
comes
one
back
issue.
in stock, will be much more. It kind of sucks as we've had to adapt the way that we like talk technology, because we're hyping up like the 4-core 8 threads, but at the same time, the only one you can get right now is the 90 or the 10100, and actually they're starting to come out of stock.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see them on Amazon. The price
We're
has gone up
selling
to
them
like
all, bro. I'm looking
I
at
know.
our affiliate. We're selling them all.
yeah, the price has gone up to like 120 per one, and it was actually supposed to go down. On top of that, yeah, I'm seeing like a lot of the shipping times is like up to a month.